Welcome to our Managing Learning Activities tutorial, where we will explain how to set up and manage learning activities. In the Exxat Prism system, we offer various methods for collecting student information related to their placements and assigning student-specific assignments. There are 4 distinct types of learning activities that you can assign to students: forms or evaluations, patient logs, timesheets, and time off. This video tutorial will demonstrate how to configure these learning activities, review student submissions, and generate comprehensive reports on student-submitted learning activities. Before you can set up learning activities, you will first need to have set up placement-related or didactic course offerings. Once these course offerings have been set up, you can then activate learning activities on these courses. Click on the Learning Activity section of your dashboard or upper left-hand hamburger menu. In the Learning Activity section, you will first land on the Course Offerings page. A table will be displayed, listing rows for all your added course offerings. Within each row, you can view the course number, course name, the learning activities activated in the course, academic schedule of the course, cohort assigned to the course, and the additional course identifier if you have set it up. Using the search box, you can search for a specific course by course number. To change the type of the search box to search by course name, click on the drop-down to the left of the search box and select the course name option. To filter out this list of course offerings, click on the filter icon in the upper right-hand corner of the table. You can then filter courses by cohort, academic year, or term. In the Learning Activity section, it is also possible to set up learning activity groups to group courses together. Learning activity groups group courses together so you can access the course's learning activities easily and run reports on all the learning activities active in the group. Lockstep programs typically group course offerings together by cohort to run these reports and keep track of student progress toward their graduation requirements. Non-lockstep programs may use learning activity groups to group together courses of the same academic year, graduation term, or area of focus. To set up a new learning activity group, for example for the courses assigned to the class of 2025 cohort, click on the Add Group button. You will then need to provide the group with a name in the text box above. You can also describe the group in the text area below. This description can only be viewed by you and other program administrators, so keep this in mind when adding a description. Click on the Next button. You will then need to select the courses you would like to add to the group. You can use the course number and course name boxes to search for specific courses. You can also filter the list of courses by academic year, professional year, term, cohort, and the additional course identifier. Once you have entered your search criteria, click on the Search button. A list of courses matching the search criteria will then populate within the table. Select the courses you would like to add to your group. You can also select all courses within the table at once by selecting the box in the upper left-hand side. Then click on the Next button. You will then see a short overview of your selections. Remove unwanted courses by clicking on the corresponding trash bin icon. You can also go back to the previous sections to make changes by clicking on the Previous Sections tabs. Click on the Save button if you are finished. The learning activity group will then be created. To make changes to a learning activity group, select the group from the left-hand menu, then click on the pencil icon in the upper right-hand corner of the page. You can then make the necessary changes and save it once again. To delete the learning activity group, click on the trash bin icon to the right of the pencil icon. Learning activity groups have 3 tabs. The Courses tab displays a table containing all the courses you have added to the group. Each group will have hyperlinks for each learning activity activated in each of the added courses. These hyperlinks take you to the Learning Activity Review section of the respective course offering. The table will also display the academic schedule assigned to each course offering. Each course will also contain helpful hyperlinks for setting up and running reports on learning activities in the course. In the Rotations tab, all the rotations for the added courses will be shown. You can access the Learning Activities Review page using the Learning Activity hyperlinks or run reports on respective rotations using the Reports hyperlinks. The Reports tab is used for running reports on all the learning activities active in the courses assigned to the learning activity group. We will return to the Reports section later to demonstrate how to run reports on each type of learning activity. To set up and activate learning activities in a course, click on the Setup hyperlink on the right-hand side of a course row within the Learning Activity Group table. You will need to set up learning activities for each course individually. You will be taken to the Learning Activity Setup section of the Course Offerings page. You can also navigate to this section by selecting the Courses section from your dashboard or upper left-hand hamburger menu, then click on a course offerings name, then expand the Learning Activities drop-down from the left-hand menu and select the Setup option. We will demonstrate how to set up learning activities in a placement-based course. In placement-based courses, you can activate any type of learning activity. This includes forms or evaluations, patient logs, timesheets, and time off. In didactic courses, or non-placement related courses, it is possible to set up non-placement related forms and evaluations, but you cannot set up patient logs, timesheets, or time off learning activities. This is because patient logs, timesheets, and time off are all related to student placements. Forms can involve any stakeholder involved in a student's placement. This includes students, experiential supervisors, faculty, or administrators. Forms can be used to keep track of student progress and to assess student performance. Evaluations are often used to evaluate students, sites, or experiential supervisors. There is no difference in the way forms and evaluations function, however they have different inherent purposes. Some forms are standard forms such as CIET, PTSC, etc. Standard forms can be activated by reaching out to our support team, your account manager, or your CSS agent. Standard forms are always used the exact same way by every program and are typically copyrighted, therefore, these forms are non-editable. To meet the unique demands of your program, we offer custom forms. Custom forms are those which you decide the workflow for and information collected by. A workflow is the series of steps from initiation to completion, for which a form passes. This could, for example, involve the student filling the form then distributing it to an experiential supervisor. We can accommodate nearly any workflow required of your program. Please reach out to your CSS agent or account manager for more information on how to get custom forms configured. Click on the plus icon in the Forms and Evaluations section. Here you will see a list of the forms currently configured for your program. You can search for a specific form using the text box. Click on a form or evaluation. The box at the top of the newly opened window will display some details related to the form or evaluation. In the Who will be filling the form section, you can view which stakeholders are involved in the workflow of the form. For example, the preceptor, admin, and student all may be involved in the form. In the Workflow Details section, you can view the general workflow of the form. A workflow is the series of steps from initiation to completion, for which a form passes. This could involve the admin distributing the form and the preceptor evaluating the student. In the notification details, you can see if there are any auto notifications within the form. Auto notifications are emails automatically sent out based on a preset condition. For example, if a student is evaluated by the preceptor to perform below expectations, an auto notification can be set up to notify you of the student's poor performance. If you would like to set up auto notifications for a form, please reach out to our support team at prism-support@exxat.com. Click on the form name hyperlink to view a preview of the form. Next to the form name, at the top of the page, you may see a green box containing the form's score. If you see this box, this indicates that the form is scoring based, and therefore, if you choose for this form to contribute to the student's gradebook, the score on this form will contribute to the student's gradebook score. Below the form name, you can view the portions of the form which the various stakeholders fill out as a part of the workflow of the form. Click on the Download button in the upper right-hand corner of the page to download this form in the PDF format. You may want to do this if you would like to keep an offline copy of the form for your records. Now return to the form configuration page. In the box titled the form name, you can then configure the form options. The options available on this page vary from form to form. In the Does this form require placement section, indicate yes if the form is related to the student's placement in this course. Forms used in a placement-based course, which are not related to a student's placement, are called course-based forms. You may have an out-of-score text box. Here you can indicate how many points you would like the form to be worth. If this section is grayed out, the number of points the form is out of is predetermined and cannot be changed. In the grading section, you can indicate whether you would like the form's score or the completion of the form to contribute to the student's final gradebook score. If so, indicate yes in the Does this form contribute to the student's final score section. A box will then appear for you to assign a weightage to this form. This weightage is the percent of the student's final score that this form is worth. For example, if this form will determine 5% of the student's final score, enter 5 in the weightage text box. Please note that the form will only contribute to the student's final score if the form has been activated. Low score indicators are used to indicate when students perform particularly badly on a form or evaluation. You can view these indicators when reviewing the submitted learning activities of a course. If you would like to automatically be notified if the form score is less than a certain threshold, choose the Yes option in the Does this form require low score indicator section. You can then configure the cutoff for the low score by clicking on the select value, then choose whether you would like the indicator to appear when the score is less than a certain cutoff score, equal to the cutoff score, or less than or equal to the cutoff score. Then in the Enter Numeric Value section, indicate the cutoff score you would like to use in this instance. For example, if you would like the indicator to appear if the student receives a score less than or equal to 80, then choose the less than or equal to option and enter 80. If you would like to be notified when the student triggers a low score indicator, please reach out to our support team at prism-support@exxat.com and they can help you get these set up. You may then need to indicate a published date, midterm due date, and a final due date for the form or evaluation. If you indicated that this form is related to a student's placement, these published dates and end dates will depend on the dates of the student's placement. You will indicate the number of days, before or after a specific placement-related anchor point you would like for the form or evaluation to become active and the date for which it is due. For example, if you would like the form to become published to students, faculty, and administrators 3 days after the placement midpoint, enter 3 in the Days box, click on the Before and After drop-down and choose the Before option. Then click on the Anchor drop-down and select the Placement Mid-Date option. You can configure the due date in the same way if the due date section is available on this form. Please note that if you chose to set up a form that does not require the student to be placed, the published date, midterm due date, and final due date will not depend on the student's placement anchor dates. Instead, you will select specific dates for these fields. In the Which Faculty role should be able to view the form and make changes section, indicate whether you would like course faculty, placement faculty, or faculty advisors to be able to view and review the form. Course faculty and placement faculty typically are given the ability to review student learning activities because they supervise the student's coursework and placement. Faculty advisors typically are not given the ability to review learning activities. In the Which Faculty role should be able to view the form section, you can indicate if you would like for any faculty roles to be able to view but not review the form. This would typically be faculty advisors. If the form requires you to distribute the form to an experiential supervisor, you will have the automation section at the bottom of the form configuration window. In the automation section, you can set up auto distributions for a form. Auto distribution is when a form is set up so that it is automatically distributed to students assigned experiential supervisors at a certain set time. Forms are distributed as a link within an email. To set up auto distribution, click on the Set Up Automation button. You can then choose whether you would like the form to be distributed at the start of the student's placement, at the midpoint of the student's placement, or at the end of a student's placement. If you would like to adjust the date that the form is sent, click on the Add Now button. You can then choose how many days before or after the selected anchor you would like the form to be distributed. In the Who Should Get This email drop-down, indicate which stakeholders you would like to distribute the form to. You can choose to send the form to the experiential supervisor added by the school, the experiential supervisor added by the student, the site staff, and the faculty. You can choose multiple stakeholders if you would like to distribute this form to multiple people. Each person who is distributed a form will have a unique form assigned to them. This means that if there are 2 experiential supervisors sent the form, they will each have a separate copy of the form to complete, and the student will be assigned these 2 copies. Lastly, choose the email template that you would like to send. You can use our pre-made standard template, or any other template you have previously added. To add new templates for form auto distribution, please reach out to our support team at prism-support@exxat.com. After you have selected a template, you can click on the Preview Template hyperlink to view a preview of the selected template. Once you have fully configured the auto distribution settings, click on the Automate button. You can then view the auto distribution instance in the automation section. The instance card will display the time point selected for the sent email, the stakeholders selected to receive the email, and the template selected for the email. To delete this auto distribution instance, click on the trash bin icon. To make changes to the setup auto distribution, click on the pencil icon. You can then make the necessary changes and save it once again. To deactivate the form distribution instance, toggle the bit to the right of the pencil icon. You can deactivate the instance to save its configuration but prevent emails from being sent out. Lastly, scroll back up to the top of the configuration section. If you would like to activate this form, toggle the Activate bit. If you leave the Activate bit toggled off, you can still save the configuration of the form and activate the form later. Keep in mind that the form will not appear to students until the student is placed in the course and the form is activated. Click on the Save button once you are finished configuring the form. You will then see this form displayed in the Forms and Evaluations table. This table displays the options you have configured, such as the form name, form additional details, the weightage assigned, published date, midterm date, final due date, and activation status. Click on the pencil icon for a form to make changes to this form's configuration. You can then make the necessary changes, activate or deactivate the form, and save the form once again. You can then use the same process to add as many forms and evaluations as necessary. It is also possible to configure simple forms on your own called assignments. Assignments can be used to collect any student-written assignments, for example a midterm reflection essay. Click on the plus icon in the Forms and Evaluations section, then select the Add Assignment option. You can then configure this new assignment. Provide a title for the assignment in the title text area, then provide instructions for how the student should complete the assignment. Indicate if this assignment requires student placement. If you plan to use this assignment in other courses other than this course, indicate that this assignment is applicable for other course offerings in the program. If you choose the Yes option, this assignment will be added to the list of forms when activating forms and evaluations in every course for easy activation. Then indicate if you would like this form to be scored. If you choose for it to be scored, enter the out of score for the assignment. You can also configure a low score indicator, the assignment's contribution to the student's final gradebook, published date and due date, and faculty assigned to the assignment the same way you configured the other form or evaluation. Click on the School Templates Upload section to upload a school template if you would like to provide one to the student. Students can then download these templates, fill them out and re-upload them when they submit the assignment. Note the supported file types and size limits below. Once you are finished, toggle the Active bit on to activate the assignment. Then click on the Save button to save this configuration. You will then see this new assignment added to the Forms and Evaluations table. Patient logs are a learning activity used to track student-patient encounters on a daily basis. Patient logs can be used to keep track of patient encounter demographics, number of patients encountered, duration of encounters, patient health conditions, and more. Different domains may use different names for patient logs. SLP programs call them clinical logs, and CRNA programs call them case logs, etc. To set up patient logs, click on the pencil icon in the Patient Logs section. A window will then open for you to configure the patient logs. There are cases when programs want to use different patient logs in different courses. For example, in the nursing domain there are multiple different graduate level tracks, therefore they use different patient logs for these tracks. Because of this, we offer patient log templates. Templates can be thought of as different patient log types. We offer a standard template, but if you want to configure a customized template, please contact your CSS agent or account manager, and we can help you with that. You can also reach out to our support team at prism-support@exxat.com to make any changes to existing patient log templates. Once you have configured a customized template, you can then click on the Select Template drop-down and select the customized template. To preview any template, select the template, then click on the eye icon to the right of the template drop-down. You can then view the patient log that students will fill and submit. Next, toggle the Activate bit to activate patient logs for placed students in this course. You can always leave this bit untoggled to only configure the patient log options without making patient logs available to students. In the log must be created within days of patient encounter section, indicate how many days away from the encounter date the student is allowed to submit patient logs. For example, if you entered 10 days here and the student attempts to submit a patient log detailing a patient encounter from 2 weeks ago, the student will not be able to submit the log. In the grading section, indicate whether you would like patient logs to contribute to the student's final score. If you chose yes, you would then need to enter the number of points you would like the patient log to be worth, and the overall weightage you would like patient logs to contribute to the student's final score. Click on the wrench icon to customize the columns of the patient log viewable when a school faculty or experiential supervisor reviews their logs. The first 4 columns are not editable, but you can delete any of the other columns using the respective trash bin icon, or reorder columns using the up and down arrows and double ellipses. To re-add a deleted column or add a new one, click on the Add a Column button and select the column you would like to add. Be sure to click on the Save button once you are finished. You can also choose if you want students to send patient logs for experiential supervisor review when they submit them. Click on the Template Preview hyperlink to view the email that will be sent to the experiential supervisor. Some schools would like patient logs to be automatically approved when the student submits them. Therefore, we offer the option to choose whether you would like patient logs to be automatically approved upon student submission. In the attestation section, activate the Enable Attestation bit to provide an attestation that experiential supervisors need to sign when they review logs distributed to them. For example, if you want experiential supervisors to pledge their integrity while reviewing patient logs, you can add an academic integrity attestation in the attestation message section. Please note that if you marked logs for auto-approval, you will not be able to configure an attestation message. Be sure to click on the Save button once you are finished. Timesheets are a learning activity that allows students to log their experiential hours electronically, making it easy for you to monitor and review their progress. Within Timesheets, students provide the date and time of their experiential work for a given day. Click on the pencil icon in the Timesheet section to set up and activate timesheets. In the Max Hours Per Day section, you can indicate how many maximum hours a student can log on a given day. For example, if student placement experiences on a given day never exceed 7 hours, then enter 7 in this text box. You can also specify the number of days for which students can edit past timesheets before approval. For example, if you only want students to edit their submitted timesheets for 2 weeks after submitting them, select the Yes option and enter 14 in the number of days text box. In the grading section, indicate if you would like timesheets to contribute to the student's final score. The grading section here is the same as the patient log grading section. In the following sections you will configure the timesheet components. Some schools pre-plan activities for students, and therefore would like students to be able to enter timesheet entries for future dates. If you would like to do so, indicate yes in the Allow Students to Enter Time for Future Dates section. Then indicate if you would like students to enter the number of patient encounters for each time entry, or if you would like students to enter the break time for each entry. If students are working long shifts, this break time is important because they likely had a lunch break. There are some programs that require faculty to perform a final sign-off on timesheets after the experiential supervisor has reviewed them. If you would like faculty to also review the timesheet, indicate yes. If you anticipate there being multiple experiential supervisors assigned to students, click the Yes button in the Require Students to select an experiential supervisor for each time entry section. If you would like the experiential supervisor, placement faculty, or school administrator to receive an email alerting them every time a student submits a timesheet entry, check off the corresponding stakeholders checkbox. This can be helpful to ensure that student submissions are reviewed promptly. Click on the Template Preview hyperlink to preview the template that will be sent. You may want students to categorize their timesheet entries. If you would like students to categorize their entries, but only be able to select a single category, select the Single Select option. This would make sense if each of the categories you are adding are exclusive, such as simulation or direct contact. If you would like students to be able to select multiple categories, you should add categories which are not mutually exclusive, such as new patient and evaluative practice. After you have selected either the multi-select or single select options, then provide a category alias. This alias is the title of the category drop-down that students can select from. In the list of categories text box, enter each category, separated by a comma. To delete a category entry, click on the corresponding X icon. Please note that if you have set up the timesheet category section when you set up course options, then the category alias and category list will already be filled. If this is the case, you can always change the timesheet category options here. However, changes to the category options in this section will not apply to all course offerings. Click on the Set Category List for all courses hyperlink to make changes to the category list options for all courses at the same time. Once you are finished, be sure to toggle the Activate bit and click on the Save button to activate timesheets in this course. The Time Off Learning activity is used by students to request days off from their scheduled experiential placement. Students indicate the dates for their requested days off, provide a reason for their requested time off, and come up with a plan for making up the time they took off within each entry. To activate time off, click on the pencil icon in the Time Off section. You can then configure the time off setup. Some schools want the experiential supervisor assigned to the student to be informed when the student requests time off. If you would like supervisors to be notified when their assigned student or students request time off, indicate yes in the corresponding section. You can also preview the template for the email by clicking on the Template Preview hyperlink. Please note that experiential supervisors cannot approve time off entries. Only you or other school faculty can review and approve student-submitted time off entries. To require students to categorize their time off entries, indicate yes in the corresponding section. For example, you can provide categories such as illness, bereavement, etc. You can then enter these categories in the category list text box. Enter each category separated by a comma. You can also remove previous entries if you notice that you have made any mistakes. If you would like students to be required to upload a document when requesting time off, such as a doctor's note, indicate yes in the corresponding section. If you would like to notify a faculty member of the school every time a student submits a time off entry, indicate yes in the corresponding section. It would be helpful to notify the admin who will be reviewing student time off entries in this section, to ensure that the admin reviews the student time off submissions promptly. If you will be reviewing the student time off entries, enter your email in the recipient email address text box. You can always add other administrators as well if they also will be reviewing this course's time off entries. Lastly, indicate if you would like the placement faculty assigned to the student's placement to be notified when a time off entry is submitted. Once you are ready, toggle the Activate bit and click on the Save button to activate the Time Off Learning activity. Once students have been placed in their placement-related courses or begun their didactic coursework, they will begin completing their learning activities. Once students complete learning activities, it will be the school faculty member's job to review these learning activities promptly. To review learning activities in a course, click on the Learning Activities drop-down and select the Review option. This will take you to the Learning Activities section for that course where you can view submissions for all activated learning activities. Using the left-hand menu, you can select a specific form or evaluation or learning activity to view the corresponding submissions. You can also navigate to this section by selecting the Learning Activity option from your dashboard or upper left-hand menu, then selecting one of the learning activity hyperlinks within the desired courses row. Please note that you, other administrators, course faculty and placement faculty have the ability to review learning activities the same way. Remember, you have the ability to control whether a faculty role can review a specific learning activity when you set up that learning activity. Course faculty can review learning activities for all the students registered in the courses they oversee, while placement faculty can only review learning activities for the specific student placements they are assigned. Click on the Expand button in the Forms and Evaluations Summary section to view the full list of forms and evaluations active in the course. While most forms and evaluations are initiated by the student, there may be some forms and evaluations which you need to distribute to the experiential supervisor assigned to the student. Such forms usually involve the preceptors evaluating the student. These forms will be listed toward the bottom of the list of the active forms and evaluations. The forms which require distribution will be separated from the other forms by a thin gray line. If you have not set up auto-distribution for a form, you will need to configure the distribution manually. Select the Forms or Evaluations Distribution option from the left-hand menu to begin the form distribution process. You can also navigate to this distribution page by selecting one of the distributable forms, then selecting the Initiate Distribution button. The table below will list the distributable forms, the number of placements in this course and rotation, the rotation, and the distribution status. Please note that each form will be broken up into several entries if you have students placed in multiple rotations in the course. You can search for specific forms, rotations, or statuses using the search box. Select the form you would like to distribute. You can select multiple forms or rotations if you so please. Then select the Distribute button. You will then indicate if you would like to distribute this form to the preceptor added by the school and/or the preceptor added by the student, the placement faculty, or the site/location contacts. After you have made your selections, click the Continue button. The table below will show the student's name, their email address, the form name, rotation name, placement details, and stakeholders selected for each distribution instance. You can use the search box to search for specific students, forms, rotations, locations, or settings. Click on the filter icon to filter this list of placement instances by setting or placement faculty. Be sure to click the Apply button once you are finished. Select each specific distribution instance you would like to continue with and select the person you would like to distribute the form to for each instance. Then click the Compose Email button. You can review the recipient addresses on the left-hand side of the page. When you are ready, click on the Next button. Here you can select from your previously added email templates or upload a new one. Click on the drop-down menu to select a previously created template. You can also use the Add Template button to create a new one. You will then need to provide a name for the template, the subject for the email, and the body of the email template. Within the body, you can use the merge fields displayed in the right-hand side of the window. Type the @ symbol, then select the merge field you would like to use. Merge fields will be replaced with the related information when an email is sent. After you are done creating a template, click Save. You can now use this template. If you would like to delete any previously created templates, click on the template drop-down and then click on the trash bin icon. After you have selected a template, click on the Preview button. In the Preview section, you can view a preview of the sent email in the left-hand side of the window. When you are ready, indicate if you want to send the email now or later. If you choose to send the email later, click on the calendar icon and provide a date and time. Then click Send to distribute this form or evaluation. Back on the form or evaluation distribution page, the status of the distribution will either change to scheduled, partially distributed, or distributed. If every student placement has at least one distribution instance for the form, the status will be distributed. If only a few of the student placements have an instance of this form's distribution, the status will be partially distributed. If the distribution has been scheduled for a later date, this instance will be assigned the scheduled status. Forms scheduled for distribution not using auto-distribution will display the date for which the form will be sent. If you would like to schedule distributions multiple times, you can do so. Click on the Cancel Schedule button, then click Cancel Schedule again to cancel scheduled distributions. Click on the View History button in the Action column to view this form's distribution history. The table will display the form name, the associated student, the recipient and their email address, the delivery status, the person who distributed the form, and the date it was distributed or the date it was scheduled for each distribution instance. If the email has not yet been sent, the distribution status will appear as in progress. Refresh the page after a few seconds and the status will be updated. If a form has been delivered successfully, the status will appear as delivered. If the experiential supervisor clicked on the link to complete the form or evaluation, the status would appear as link clicked. Hover over the eye icon next to the distribution status for more information on when the link was clicked. If the email was opened but the link was not clicked, the status will be opened. If the email was not successfully delivered, the status of the distribution instance will be bounced. This may mean that the email you have on file for the recipient is incorrect. If you are having consistent issues with the delivery of these form distributions, please reach out to our support team at prism-support@exxat.com. Click on the View button to view the email that was delivered. If you would no longer like the recipient to have access to this form, click on the Remove Form Access button. You may want to revoke access if, for example, you accidentally distributed the form to the wrong person. You can also click on the Get Form link button if you would like to send the link to the form outside of the Exxat system. You can also use this link to view how the recipient will complete the form. Back in the Forms and Evaluations Summary section, you can view all the forms and evaluations and their submission status for each student placed in this course. If there are multiple rotations added to this course, you will see closed accordions for each rotation. Expand a rotation accordion to view all of the forms and evaluations assigned to the students placed in that rotation. Students will be listed in rows. Scroll right to view the full list of forms and evaluations. You can filter this table of student placements using the upper right-hand filter icon. You can filter student placements by placement setting, review status, and placement faculty assigned. Forms or evaluations can be assigned statuses such as Get Started, In Progress, Pending Review, or Reviewed. If you see a person's name within the status box, this means that this form was distributed and the distribution recipient is now working on completing the form. Entries assigned the Get Started status have not yet been initiated by the student or distribution recipient. In progress entries are those the student or distribution recipient is working on and will not require action from you. You will need to review and change the status of any forms or evaluations which are pending school review. The green reviewed or submitted status indicates that the form is now completed, and no action is required of anyone. To review a form or evaluation, click on one Assign the pending school review status. The student's submission details will appear on the left-hand side. You may need to fill in some information if you are indicated to do so. On the top left-hand side of the form, you can view the student who submitted the form, their email address, the student's placement information, and the due date of the form. In the top right-hand corner of the form, you can view the status of the form, the score of the form if the form is scored, and the gradebook weightage if it was assigned to the form. Click on the student's placement ID to access the Student's Placement 360 page. For more information on the Placement 360 page, please watch our Managing Placements tutorial. Click on the Preview button in the upper right-hand corner to preview the form that was filled in. Most of the time you are asked to review a student-submitted form or evaluation. You can provide comments on the form directly for students and other faculty members to view. Scroll to the bottom of the form to check if there is a comment section within the form to do so. You may be asked to sign the form or evaluation as well. If so, draw your signature using your mousepad. If you made a mistake, click on the clear text at the bottom of the signature pad. Usually, you are given edit access to the student-submitted responses on the form, therefore you can make any changes to the student responses if necessary. On the right-hand side, you will have the ability to select a new status and provide notes for the student. The options available in the Select an Option drop-down menu vary based on the form and the workflow of the form. Sometimes you may see the Review option. This option is used to indicate that you have reviewed the form and now it will pass on to the next step of the workflow. If the student or form distribution recipient has contacted you letting you know they have made a mistake and they would like to correct it, you can either make the change directly on the form while you are reviewing it, or you can select the Unsubmit to option from the Select an Option drop-down. This will unsubmit the form to the indicated person, so they can access the form and make changes to it. In the comment text area on the right side of the window, you can leave comments to other admin, students, or faculty members regarding the form. Click the Audit Log button to view the dates and times of any previous changes to the submission status. When you are ready, click on the Update button to update the submission status. You can also select specific forms and evaluations from the left-hand menu. On a specific form or evaluation page, you can view all of the instances that this form was assigned to students. Expand a rotation accordion to view the entries for each student placed in that rotation. Each rotation table will display some brief placement information for each placed student. Click on the Student's Placement ID to access the Student's Placement 360 page. Additionally, the Forms or Evaluations Summary table will display the placement faculty assigned to the student, the status of the form score, the due date of the form, and the submission date of the form. You can export the submission details of that form or evaluation using the Export button. The button will download an Excel file containing these details. Click on the filter icon to filter the list of students by placement setting, status of submission and placement faculty assigned. You can also use the search box to search for a specific student. You can also click on the status of a form to review it. Lastly, you can click on the View Log button to view the audit log of the form or evaluation. Select the Patient Log section from the left-hand menu. In the Patient Log section, there will be a table containing all the students placed in the course along with their total number of logs and those categorized by status. Patient logs can be assigned the yellow pending review status, meaning the student submitted them and you will now need to review them. The red needs attention status indicates that you or another school faculty member has reviewed the log and found an issue with it, therefore it was marked as needs attention and sent back to the student for them to edit. The green approved status indicates that the log has been reviewed and you or another school faculty member has approved it. The gray count indicates the total number of logs for a student placement. Just like in the Forms and Evaluations section, if you have multiple rotations added to this course, the table will be split up, by rotation, into separate tables. Click on the accordion for a rotation to view the patient log table for this rotation. On the top of the page, you will see the number of students who have pending review or needs attention patient logs. You will need to review pending review patient logs and keep track of needs attention logs. If a student fails to attend to needs attention logs, you may need to remind them to resubmit them outside of the Exxat system. You can search for specific students using the search box or filter the tables using the filter icon. You can filter the tables by placement setting, patient log submission status, or placement faculty assigned. Click on a status in a student row to view their logs of that status. Here you can view the student's patient log submissions relating to this placement. You can use the status dropdown to filter this list by submission status. Select every option to view all the students' patient logs. On the top of the page, you will see the total number of patient logs for each status. As a program administrator, you can change the status of any patient log. Start by reviewing the patient logs with the pending review status. Select an individual log ID to review that log. When you select a log, a window will appear with the log information entered. Reviewed this entered information, then you can select Approve or Needs Attention. You can also provide notes to the students in the school feedback section. Please note that if you choose not to approve a log, you will need to provide a reason to the student in the text box here. The student can then resubmit the log with your advised changes. You can also delete a student's submission by clicking on the Delete hyperlink. You can also make changes directly to the student submission if you notice a simple typo or something similar. After you make changes to the log, click on the Update button. If you want to approve multiple logs at a time, select the checkbox for each log on the left-hand side of the table, then click Approve. You can also use the Approve All Logs button to approve every pending review log simultaneously. Within the table, you can view some of each patient log's submission details. Please note that the columns of this table depend on how you set up the columns when configuring patient logs in this course. Click on the View Log button to view the history of changes to that log's status. Click on the Export icon on the far right-hand side of the window to download an Excel file containing all of the patient log information for this student's placement. Click on the Statistics tab to view helpful statistics on the student's patient log submissions with respect to this placement. You can also click on the Statistics icon in the course's Patient Log section to access this same statistics report. Select the Timesheet option from the left-hand menu. The process for reviewing timesheets is similar to that of patient logs. If students are placed in only one rotation in the course, you will see a table containing all the students placed in the course along with their timesheet time categorized by status. The table will also display the placement faculty assigned to the student. Timesheets will be assigned the blue in progress status if the student began working on the entry and saved it but did not submit it. The yellow pending review status is assigned when the student submits the entry, and you will now need to review them. The red not approved status indicates that you or another school faculty member has reviewed the timesheet entry and found an issue with it, therefore, it was marked as not approved and sent back to the student for them to edit. The green approved status indicates that the entry has been reviewed and you or another school faculty member has approved it. Just like in the other learning activity sections, if you have multiple rotations added to this course, the table will be split up by rotation into separate tables. Click on the accordion for a rotation to view the timesheet table for this rotation. You can search for specific students using the search box on the top left corner of the page or filter the tables using the filter icon. You can filter the tables by placement setting, timesheet entry submission status, or placement faculty assigned. Click on a status in a student row to view their entries of that status. A table will be displayed with the timesheet entries for this student's placement. The student's total number of hours will be displayed on the top of the table, and these will be categorized by the status of the submission. To view the timesheet entries entered between specific dates, click on the calendar icons and select a start date and an end date. If you would like to filter entries by status, click on the status drop-down menu and make your selections. As an admin, you can change the status of any timesheet entry. Start by reviewing pending review entries. You can view the contents of each timesheet entry using the table. To approve entries, click the checkbox next to the entries you would like to approve and then click the Approve button. You could do this for multiple entries at a time. If you would like to not approve entries, select multiple entries and click on the Add Comment hyperlink to leave a comment to the student. You can add the same comment for all selected entries by checking the Apply Comments to all the selected records checkbox. Click on the Save button to save these comments. Then go ahead and click the Not Approve button. Please note that a comment will need to be provided before you can select Not Approve. Click on the View Log button on the far right side of the page to view the history of changes to this entry's status. You can also send pending review entries for preceptor review by selecting the desired entries and then clicking the Resend button. This will send the preceptor an email with a link where they can review the entries. If you notice a simple mistake in a student-submitted entry, you can make changes to a student's entry on their behalf. To make changes to a student-submitted timesheet entry, click on the pencil icon for that respective entry. You can then make the necessary changes, add a comment for the student, if necessary, then click on the Update button. You can also review the timesheet entry within this page and approve or not approve it using the respective buttons. Lastly, click on the wrench icon to change the order and appearance of the columns of the table. You can delete a column using the trash bin icon and add a new one using the Add a Column button on the bottom of the list. If you would like to reorder columns, use the double vertical ellipses icon here to drag and drop the column or the up or down arrows to move a column up or down. To reset the table to its default state, click on the Reset All hyperlink. Be sure to save once finished. Select the Time Off option from the left-hand menu. The process for reviewing time off is similar to that of timesheets. If students are placed in only one rotation in the course, you will see a table containing all the students placed in the course along with their time off days, categorized by status. Please note that only students who have saved or submitted time off entries will appear in the table. The table will also display the placement faculty assigned to the student. Time off will be assigned the blue in progress status if the student began working on the request and saved it but did not submit it. The yellow pending review status is assigned when the student submits the request, and you will now need to review them. The red not approved status indicates that you or another school faculty member has reviewed the time off request and found an issue with it, therefore, it was marked as not approved and sent back to the student for them to edit. The green approved status indicates that the request has been reviewed and you or another school faculty member has approved it. Just like in the other learning activity sections, if you have multiple rotations added to this course, the table will be split up by rotation into separate tables. Click on the accordion for a rotation to view the time off table for this rotation. You can search for specific students using the search box on the top left corner of the page or filter the tables using the filter icon. You can filter the table by placement setting, time off entry submission status, or placement faculty assigned to the student. Click on a submission status to be taken to the time off page for this specific placement. This page functions similarly to the timesheet section. If you would like to sort the time off entries by status, click on the drop-down menu and make your selections. To view the time off entries entered between specific dates, click on the calendar icons and select a start date and an end date. There will be helpful counts of requested time off separated by submission status at the top of the page. You will need to review pending review entries. You can view the contents of each time off entry using the table. If the student has uploaded a document, you can view this document by clicking on the View Document hyperlink on the far right side of the table. To approve entries, click the checkbox next to the entries you would like to approve and then click Approve. You could do this for multiple entries at a time. If you would like to not approve entries, select the entries, and provide comments for these entries using the Add Comment hyperlink. You can add the same comment for all selected entries by checking the Apply Comments to Selected Records box here. Then go ahead and click the Not Approve button. Please note that a comment will need to be provided before you can select Not Approve. The Gradebook is useful for keeping track of student performance within a course. You can use the Gradebook to identify students who may need academic intervention. If you indicated that certain learning activities will contribute to the student's final score, you have begun setting up the Gradebook for this course. Click on the Gradebook option from the left-hand menu to view this Gradebook setup. You will view a table displaying all the students registered in the course in rows and all of the learning activities marked as contributing to the final score and assigned weightage in columns. On the top right-hand side of the table, you can view the total weightage allotted in the course. You want the total weightage to be 100. If it is not 100, you will need to edit the weightage of your learning activities in the Learning Activity Setup section to ensure the sum of all weightage assigned to learning activities adds up to 100. Within a learning activity column, you can view the weightage the learning activity was assigned. At the intersection of each column and row, you can view the student's grade for this given assignment. If the student has not yet been placed in the course, you will see an eye icon in place of the student's score indicating they have not yet been placed. Please note that students who have been registered but not placed in the course will only appear in the Gradebook if you have non-placement-based forms active and marked to contribute to the Gradebook in this course. If any scoring-based forms or evaluations were activated, configured to contribute to the student's final score, and fully reviewed for students, the score the student received out of the total number of points possible will be automatically populated in the table on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side of each cell, you can view the weighted score the student received on this learning activity. If the form or evaluation configured is not scoring-based or not fully reviewed, and you indicated this form contributes to the student's final score, you will see a hyphen out of the total number of points the learning activity is worth. For other learning activities like patient logs or timesheets, you must enter the student's score manually. To edit a student's score on a learning activity, click on that student's score. If the student is placed multiple times in the course, you will see a row for each placement. Within each row, you can view the student's placement information on the left-hand side as well as the start date of their placement and end date of their placement. In the Form Score column, you can view the score the student received on the form as well as the experiential supervisor who evaluated the student if applicable. In the Obtained Score column, you can view the score the student received on this learning activity out of the total number of points the learning activity is worth. Initially, this obtained score is the same as the form score. To override the student's obtained score, click on the pencil icon. By overriding the student's obtained score, you can change the final score the student received on the learning activity. You will then need to enter the new score in the Update Obtained Score text box, then click on the Update button. To revert the student's obtained score back to their form score, click on the Undo icon. You can hover over the eye icon to view a short description of how the student's score was changed. If the student is placed multiple times in the course and the student has at least 2 different scores on a learning activity, the student's calculated score will be the average of these obtained scores. You can view the student's calculated score at the top of the window. If the student is placed only once, this calculated score will be the same as the student's obtained score. Lastly, the student's weighted score is displayed in the upper right-hand corner of the window. The weighted score is the percentage added to the student's final score based on the calculated score, the out-of score, and the weightage assigned to the learning activity. For example, if a learning activity is assigned an out-of score of 4, a calculated score of 3, and the weightage for the learning activity is assigned to be 10%, the weighted score is calculated by dividing the calculated score by the out-of score then multiplied by the weightage percentage, resulting in a weighted score of 7.5. After you have made your changes, click on the Save button. To bulk edit multiple student scores at once, click on the pencil icon for a specific learning activity. In the newly opened window, you can view the student's obtained score, their calculated score, and their weighted score. To change the score for a student, click on the pencil icon in that obtained score cell, then enter a score in the Override Obtained Score box and click on the Update button. You can override the obtained score to the same value for multiple students at a time by selecting the students using the checkbox to the left of their name and then clicking on the Bulk Update button. Enter the new score you would like to assign in the text box, then click the Update button. Be sure to click on the Save button once you are finished. You can then update all the scores for other learning activities as necessary. To search for a specific student, you can use the search box. On the left-hand side of the table, you can view each student's final score in the course. The final score is the sum of each of the students' weighted scores. Now that learning activities have been set up, filled by students and reviewed by school faculty, you can now run reports on these submitted learning activities. Click on the Learning Activities section from the left-hand drop-down menu. There are a few ways to run reports. You can run reports on all the courses by clicking on the Reports option from the left-hand menu. You can run reports on the courses added to a learning activity group by clicking on a learning activity group, then selecting the Reports tab. You can also run reports on specific courses by selecting the Course Offerings option from the left-hand menu or on the Courses tab of a learning activity group, then selecting the Reports hyperlink within a course row. Lastly, you can run reports on specific rotations by navigating to the Rotations tab of a learning activity group, then selecting the Reports hyperlink for a specific rotation. All these options configure how the report is run, but once you are in the Learning Activity Reports section, you can change the courses, rotations, and other options to run reports. In the Reports section you will find our comprehensive list of learning activity reports. You can run reports on forms or evaluations, patient logs, timesheets, or time-off learning activities. First, we will demonstrate how to run forms or evaluations reports. Some reports may aggregate responses to the form in a table format, while others may display helpful graphs based on these responses. Additionally, some reports are configured specifically for placement-based forms, while others are configured for didactic forms. Please note that you cannot run a report on placement-based forms and didactic forms at the same time, therefore we recommend creating a separate learning activity group for didactic courses. Click on one of the form or evaluation report names. You will then need to configure a few options before you can run the report. On the top of the page, you can select the course offerings for which you would like to run the report. If you access this report from a learning activity group, your desired courses will already be selected. If you navigated to the report from the course offerings section of the learning activity section, you would need to select the courses for which you would like to run the report. Click on the Select Course Offerings button. You can indicate which course offerings you would like to include in the report. You can search for specific course offerings using the search box. You can change the type of the search box using the drop-down menu to the left of the box. You can also filter out courses using the filter icon. You can filter courses by cohort, academic year, or term. You can select up to 50 courses to run the report on at once. To select the first 50 courses on the list, check the box in the upper left-hand corner of the table. Once you have made your selections, click on the Apply button. You can view the full list of courses using the Show More hyperlink. You can remove selected courses by clicking on the X icon to the right of the course name. Or clear all the courses by selecting the Clear All option. Once you have made your changes, click on the Apply button. Below the Courses section there will be a few other options for you to configure. Please note that the configuration options vary between reports, therefore you may see additional options or options missing when you run a report. Click on the Forms and Evaluations drop-down to select the form or evaluation you want to run a report on. Using the Rotation drop-down, select the rotations you want included in the report. In the Settings section, indicate the placement settings for the student placements you want included in the report. For example, if you leave the cardiac surgery placement setting unchecked, this will exclude any placements assigned with this placement setting when running the report. In the Status section, indicate which statuses for the form or evaluation you would like included in the report. For example, if you would like to run this report only on reviewed forms or evaluations, select the Reviewed option and leave the other options unchecked. Lastly, in the Students section indicate which students you would like included in the report. A student's name will appear in this list when they are placed in at least one course you are running the report on. After you configure all the options, click the Generate Report button. You can then view the report below. This specific report is a graphical report, meaning there will be helpful pie charts and bar graphs aggregating student responses for you to view. You can view the report by rotation or setting, which would change some of the graphs to group responses by rotation or by setting. If you would like to download this report for your school records, click on the Preview button. This will take you to a separate web page for the report. You can click on the Download button to download this report for offline access. One example of a patient logs report is the Aggregate Raw Data Report. This report is used to view aggregate patient log data for students across their rotations. You will first need to select the courses for the report and configure the report options. Once you are done, click on the Generate Report button. A table displaying the report will appear below. For each student, you can view the number of placements assigned to the student, their total number of patient logs, average number of logs per placement, encounter time, and the number of times they selected various options within a patient log. If you would like to download this report for offline access, click on the Export icon. The report will then be exported in the Excel format. We also offer a report on all the custom values you configured for patient logs. This report gathers information regarding the required and optional procedures and diagnoses, medications, as well as any other information you requested to collect with patient logs. For example, you can use this report to view the number of times an individual student indicated they performed each specific procedure and diagnosis. Click on the Comprehensive Report for Custom Values hyperlink. You will first need to select the courses for the report and configure the report options. You can select which rotations, settings, status of patient logs, and the sites and locations of the student's placement you would like included in the report. Using the Student drop-down, select the student you would like to run the report on. Lastly, if you would like to run the report to view the information for patient logs submitted within specific dates, you can click on the calendar icon in the From Date section, and select a From Date, and click on the To Date option, and select a To Date. Once you are done, click on the Download Report button. An Excel file will be downloaded containing the requested information. Within this Excel file, there will be a sheet for each custom value category. For example, if you have your students select the medication prescribed to the patient on patient logs, there will be a sheet for medication code report counts. In the first column, you will see every custom value option configured in rows. In the following column, you can view the number of times the student selected that option. You can use the Hours by Category Timesheet report to view the number of timesheet hours for each timesheet category the student selected. Just like with the other reports, you will first need to select the courses for the report and configure the report options. Once you are done, click on the Generate Report button. There will be a row for each student placement. You can view each student's name, course details, placement details, approved timesheet time, total timesheet time, and the amount of time for each timesheet category. If you would like to download this report for offline access, click on the Export icon. The report will then be exported in the Excel format. Thank you for watching our Managing Learning Activities tutorial. Please take the time to check out our other, helpful Exxat Prism tutorials.